Good morning, Tanya.
Good morning. How's it going?
It's good.
I have a I have a
An Osprey moment?
kind of. I have an England moment that's a Spain moment.
Oh, I can't wait to hear. Tell me.
And this has been ongoing since we first moved to Spain.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't believe it's got much better, and it's been a pet peeve. You've definitely heard this before. Everybody that I know has heard
Is this
this
something
one.
I've heard? I have a feeling I may have lived it.
I think you might have lived it. So this morning, I'm probably irritating my mom. I have opened every packet that is in the fridge because all the cheeses, when it says open here and you peel, guess what it does?
It peels.
It opens
It
there.
peels, does it? It's easy
It
open.
peels.
It does it has the arrow works, doesn't it?
Yep. And then I go to the salami, easy open, and I peel that. And then I go to the bacon and I peel that. And my mom is like, why is every packet in this fridge open? And I'm like, because I can't do this in Spain.
You can't. It's so true. It is so frustrating. I will kid you not. Yesterday I made a big. It was Easter here yesterday. So I was.
It was also Easter here yesterday.
It was Easter there
FYI.
too.
Just so
And by the way, we're going to do an Easter episode next year because we all completely had Easter fails this year, so we didn't really do
Complete
it.
fails.
Complete fails.
Yes.
And but I was like, oh, I'll do a big breakfast for the family and the bacon and eggs and hash browns and all that American style stuff. And I got to the bacon and it has the arrow and like the cutout in the plastic where it's supposedly gonna release easy. No, I mean I had to get a blowtorch. I could not get this package open. And it was.
And it
frustrating.
has a little thing, and it says "abrir aquí."
Yeah.
So it's like they've printed on it.
Yes.
They've got the corner. It looks exactly like American packaging. It looks exactly like British packaging. But what they've done is where that corner is then sealed.
It's like glued tighter. I think they put more glue there.
And if it's not glued and you do manage to peel it off, which never happens, that you can actually get that to that corner,
right.
It will peel in only one part, so you end up with like a sliver.
Oh no, your
down the
finger
middle.
is covered in peanut butter and hummus, whatever, because then you're digging the rest of the plastic through, like you're getting under, you just have to have a knife or scissors or like I said, a blowtorch, chainsaw.
Maybe a chainsaw.
It is one of the most infuriating, frustrating things because they pretend it's all the pretense of easy open.
Right.
Packaging, and it rarely is. And then the other thing that makes me mad about it is it pretends to be easy opening, but they also make it pretend like it's easy reseal, like the packages of like sliced cheese. Like if you put that plastic back down, it doesn't stick back. But like back in America at the Trader Joe's, you bought the lunch meat, like it would stick for a couple days, like one or two.
It should, or at least if the whole piece comes off, you can put it back on and put something heavy on top of it in the fridge, which is what I do.
That's what
sometimes
I do too.
If it doesn't have like a proper like reseal, you just stick something heavier on top and then it kind of holds it down. And you don't want to put ham on, for instance, or cheese, but the ham on will dry faster. You don't want to put ham on back in the fridge open in any way because it will really dry up super fast.
And even if you reseal it in like a Tupperware, it dries out really quick.
It just isn't. Yeah, so you have to kind of. I have to take that package and either re-put it into like tinfoil or into saran wrap and like wrap it around like
so
really
no
well
air
to
is getting
seal
to it.
Yeah. And it's just one of those things where it's like, I would be totally okay with it if they weren't using a package that had been designed and printed with the idea that it's going to open and close, right? And then this is the other one, which always makes me laugh. Like you get the grated cheese bags, right?
Oh.
And they have an area at the top that's sealed,
right?
Because it's in the shop and no one can open it. And then they have the area with the part that what do you call
the
that
Ziploc
part that you press?
I mean, that's
the Ziploc, but it's not a zipper. It's just like a lock.
No, but it's still called
thing.
Ziploc because
it's still called Ziploc.
Yeah,
you use your fingers.
Yeah. But Ziploc never had a zipper in the original days.
Oh, it didn't?
Yeah, it
okay.
was still just
I do love those ones with the zipper.
Yeah,
Those are really cool. Anyway, we don't have those here. So they have the part where you just like squeeze it with your fingers, but they've sealed the top part down to that zipper so close that you can't actually chop. And so sometimes you can sort of chop it halfway through where they've sealed it above the zipper, and then you can kind of open it like a bag of chips, and like maybe break that seal. But it's like, no, you need room between the zipper and where you seal in order to cut and end up with something that's open.
So I just cut below the zipper, and then I just take, and then I'm like, Yeah. So my life hack. I don't know if you have this life hack. So like chip clips are like an important thing in life,
Yes.
right?
The
So
IKEA ones. Sorry, I know we're not like we don't use them for advertising or anything, but hey,
So what
they
I
sell the
do
bags of
is I
them.
go to the Chinese store, and back in America, I used
Oh.
to go to like Office Depot, and I get those binder clips because you get like 20 for like $2,
Oh.
and like a chip clip, which never has a good enough spring and never holds anything. It's like $5 for one chip clip. You go to like get those binder clips, and you use those. You get a
Oh.
gross of them, and now mind you, I had a gross, and now they're all gone because they're like under kids' beds and in sheet. Who
I
knows
was
where
gonna
they
say, are they being used as like hair clips or
they're,
something?
they're, they're, they've all been lost, and I'm ranting around the house. Where's the chip clips?
Where
Because
are the chip clips? Well, you know, that's the other thing is like, you know, the monsters that you might live with, not you, that I might live with, that don't roll the chips bag back together and secure it. So when you get back to it, all the chips are stale.
right, yeah. No, I know that too. Yeah, but so I've trained them better, but there was times they would just like fold it in half and put a clip on it. I'm like, no, the air's getting in. You know, you
The
haven't
corners.
rolled it 3 or 4 times. That's what you need to do. But
That's a lot to
it
ask.
is a lot. It's well,
But if you're gonna lose them and they're only like you're buying like a dozen for €1, then I guess at least that's better than you've bought, you know, one for €12.
yes, exactly.
Yeah, but they still need to be used,
They
people.
do.
Anyway, so that is my like Spain thing that is just it's become kind of a joke within our family anyway of just like nothing opens properly, and then when I come to England, it's so nice to just and there's nothing you can do about it. It's not like you know this is how the food is coming.
Right.
So that's it.
Oh no, I mean, I'm sure you'll probably send me a video now of you opening up a a bag of
Something
something
salami
a
probably.
salami with just what's the word I'm looking for, wanton carelessness. You know, you'll just be
Yes, just
carefree.
peel. Just
Yes.
peeling without even thinking. Like, because when I do the ones in Spain, I'm kind of like, maybe it'll work this time,
Yeah,
and I do it
there's a
really
hope.
slowly,
There
right?
is a
And I,
hope every
yeah,
time.
there was a hope, and because sometimes I get one that hasn't been sealed around the edge, and I can actually get a hold of that lip, and I'm like, ooh, okay, this one might work, and I do it, and I really slowly, and still I just get like a slither,
I
and
mean,
I'm like,
I've had the bacon opened up for me in the past. I mean, it's work, and it's like, you know, you have to like kind of plot it out, like where oh, I got a little tear here, so now I'm gonna stretch it this way, and it's come across. I mean, it's never resealing it, but like you're ever gonna reseal
yeah.
bacon, like when
I was gonna say like I don't understand the bacon thing. Like okay, like I need to reseal ham on or I need to
right.
reseal the cheese, but who's resealing bacon
We don't need to reseal it. Just, but you're telling me I could open it with, you know, easy
without scissors and
right?
without a knife
Because
and without a
you know, with
chainsaw?
bacon,
Yes,
if you're
that's true.
using
Yeah.
scissors or something, now I've got to wash the scissors because it's got like dead pig juice on it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to spread disease around the kitchen.
Oh my god, it's too much work. I mean, this is obviously not a big deal, but it has become like a really big deal.
We live here. It's not a vacation moment. Like, this is an
It is
ongoing
not.
struggle.
The ongoing struggle of non-resealable packaging.
And when they lie to us and tell us that it is, like, if it's not going to be, I can go back to 1975 America. I can bring out that life and be like, this is how things are here. So I want to pose a question, because now we have listeners in like 28 countries now. So
I know, it's so exciting.
does any
What's it like in your
yeah,
country?
do you have easy opening and resealable packaging with your prepared and, you know, almost prepared foods?
Yeah.
That's what we want to
Or
know.
are you being lied to? Which one is it?
Yes.
It's got to be one of those. Either you have it, or you don't have it, or you pretend to have it.
You're pretend, yeah, exactly.
However, I will say, speaking of food, we do have a lot of good food in Spain.
We do have
And
a
I
lot of
did
good
want to
food.
talk a little bit about maybe some of our favorite foods that we love here. And I suppose it would make sense to maybe start with tapas because that's like the smallest thing. And just kind of, I have my favorite tapas.
Which is yours?
So we can talk a little bit about this too. You can come to Spain and probably cook for yourself and live on the Mediterranean diet. But a lot of the tapas, if you go into a regular cafe, that is fried. If you go to a slightly fancier place, it might be grilled. But one of my favorite things is the croquetas, and they are fried. They are deep fried, and they are delicious.
I mean, it's like potato and breading and cheese.
It's
and
actually
meats.
not potato.
It's
This
not?
is the funny thing. No, it looks like potato. It acts like potato, but it's actually a bechamel sauce.
That's what they rolled. That's what's sticking the
Yeah.
bread. That's what the
You actually
breadcrumbs are
start
sticking
with
to.
Yep, you start with a bechamel sauce and you add things to that, and then you form it into the shapes, and you put it in the fridge, and then you bring it out and roll it and fry it. So I
Oh,
know, I thought it was potato too. Isn't that crazy?
I thought I knew everything. I know
Oh my god,
nothing.
like you knew nothing. Yeah, I thought for sure, and I was like, I'm gonna make them at home. I just need to make mashed potato and stick things in it
Yeah.
and deep fry it with breadcrumbs. No, it's a much bigger thing, because we had a friend come to our house, and she knew how much we love that I love croquetas, and she's Spanish, and she had pre-made them, like the bechamel part into the croqueta shape, and then all we had to do was kind of roll them and fry them. And she was the one that taught me that, and my mind was blown, because I was like, what? It just tastes like a mashed potato, right?
Yeah, it totally, and
Yeah.
and like those kinds of things back in the States are made with mashed potatoes. Like Italian people make them, and it's with mashed potatoes and stuff. And maybe not. Maybe it's just American Italians do it. I don't know. I might get hate mail.
Yeah.
We might get hate mail now. Who knows?
But isn't the Spanish what are the little Spanish little croqueta looking type pasta things? Are they made of oh my god, I can't remember the name of them now. They're quite a heavy meal. It's like they look almost like mini croquetas, and they're like in a, oh my god, why can't
I don't even
remember
know
the
what you're
name?
talking about. Which it's
Gnocchi.
oh gnocchi. That's Italian. Yeah.
Is that not made out of potatoes?
It's potato. Yeah,
either?
that's potato, but that's like a pasta. Yeah. It's potato.
Yeah, but I
pasta,
think maybe
right.
that's why we both thought that.
Well,
that the
no,
croquetas
because
were made out of
we
potatoes,
no
too.
Italians make and I forget what they're called. And if I brought out my grandmother's cookbook, I could have it because she has them in there. I'll have to bring out her cookbook, and it's a croquette thing, but it is with mashed potatoes and deep fried.
Okay.
And
I mean,
stuff.
I'm sure you could.
Yeah.
I mean, it would come out as some sort of thing, but it wouldn't be a traditional Spanish
Right.
croqueta. That's all I'm saying. So basically, if you go to any Spanish little cafes, the ones we talked about, the 25,000 of them that are on every street, they're gonna have the croquetas that are probably going to be either jamon, or maybe a fish one, or maybe a chicken one,
or like an
It's pretty-
octopus one, or a chicken, or just
Maybe-
a cheese one.
Yeah, but those are the ones that are kind of, you probably buy them pre-made in some kind of
Right.
macro like restaurant shop, and they're just being dumped. But if you go to like a fancy restaurant, then you might get like duck ones.
Oh,
or,
yeah.
You know,
Oh, but-
like really, they can put anything in them. And if you go to different restaurants that aren't the regular little cafes, or maybe you find a little cafe that has a sort of a fancy chef in it or something, you can find some really interesting croquetas,
can.
mushroom ones.
But
Oh my
I
gosh,
will like
it's
to
so
say,
good.
I would like to say though, to add to it, you don't just have to go to a Spanish restaurant to get croquetas, because they're at every Thai restaurant. They're at they're at every restaurant, because
Right.
you'd be like, oh, we're gonna go for Thai food. You're like, why is there croquetas and like Spanish
Because-
food on the menu? Because it's Spain,
Because
and they
kids,
want.
because Spain,
Right.
and also kids, and I think a lot of kids, not mine, but a lot of the Spanish kids, it's quite a popular food for kids, I think. So that might be why it's in some of these
Right.
restaurants, because where they bring the kids and the parents like, we want Thai food, and the kids are like, I want French fries, like an American kid. Like,
I want patatas,
I want
bravas, and
nuggets and,
croquetas.
French fries. So I want paella and croquetas.
Right. Well, I mean, it's funny you say that, because my kids do not like their croquetas either, and I just think they're aliens. I really don't. I'm when they bleed, I think their blood is like a different color. I think it's green.
Well,
I
and
don't-
speaking of crazy kid things like that, my daughter will eat patatas bravas, which is another just standard, literally every
it's
restaurant
the
will have
French
it. They're
fry
like-
of Spain, basically.
It's the French fry of Spain. It's like they've chopped them up into little cubes,
wedges,
and then they
or
probably,
wedges even.
or
Yeah,
wedges. But usually, if it's good, it's a bit smaller than wedges, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And then they're kind of deep fried or whatever, or roasted in the oven, probably deep fried. And then they've got like some mayonnaise and maybe some red sauce on it or something.
The Brava
My daughter
sauce
will
is a little
eat-
spicy. Yeah, it's
a little spicy, maybe, depends on the restaurant. My daughter will eat those until the cows come home, and
Okay.
she will eat French fries. But if I roast potatoes in the oven, or if I make French fries or mashed potatoes, she won't touch it with a barge pole.
Will she eat mashed potatoes elsewhere, or is it just your
She
cooking?
does-
Like, should you take it
It's
personally?
no, it's not just my cooking. It's what it is, my cooking, I guess, because I literally make patatas bravas at home. It's exactly the same thing, but it's not at a restaurant on a plate in a restaurant. And she's like, oh, I don't like this kind of potato. And I'm like, you could not tell the difference if you ate that, but for some reason you're making a
So
distinction.
what you need to do is, when you're at like Five Guys, just steal some of the paper, like the stuff they wrap, and they're just being, oh, look what I got it from Five Guys. We just
Right.
they opened one in our town. I brought it home.
Oh my God, you don't think she'd be the first person to know if there was a Five Guys around the corner from our house?
We'll just don't take her around that corner ever again. She doesn't have.
Right?
She's
Oh,
not
you
biking
didn't know.
around town by herself. She doesn't know.
But it's so funny. I'm sure there's other parents that can relate, or maybe adults that were like this when they were kids. They will eat potatoes in this form, but not in this form. Yeah, so I'm like,
Well,
yeah. So the patatas bravas are actually really good. That's something that you can get pretty much everywhere, I think.
well, I mean, the funny thing is that you say that about your daughter. My youngest, Paloma, she has um they're very, both my children are very varied eaters, right? I've trained them to eat anything, and they will eat kale,
Mm-hmm.
like they eat all the foods. But we'll go out to restaurants, and then she suddenly becomes a picky eater because it's the opposite. She's like, "Well, I want spaghetti bolognese the way you make it." I'm like, "Oh my god, you got to be." I
Aww,
mean, that's great, but like,
that's a huge
it is
compliment.
a huge compliment. I'm like, but you haven't even tried it here. It could be good. You know what I mean?
Well, this is how family favorite recipes are built, right? Which is that nobody makes, especially those types of comfort foods. I think nobody makes those kinds of foods better than your
What you're
family
used
when
to,
you were a kid,
right?
right?
Right.
Yeah. And then my favorite, the other type of tapas that they do, which I love, is the grilled octopus, the
Oh,
grilled sepia. And if it, I think almost any restaurant can do that pretty well. And and they just drizzle it with olive oil and maybe some little herbs or spices or something. That's like the most basic. And even at the most basic, it is so good.
what I don't understand about Spain is how they do the octopus and it melts in your mouth. Because I've had
Mm-hmm.
octopus other places and it's tough and chewy. I mean, I still eat it. I love it. But for some reason here,
I'll eat it, but it's not what
but
I
when I
wanted.
moved here, though, I didn't realize it could be sublime. Like when you have octopus
Right.
here, it's like it's not chewy, and like I said, it melts in your mouth, and you're like, how are you doing that? And so I don't cook octopus at home because I'm scared I'll just make it rubbery. Like there's a place around the corner they'll serve it for
Yeah, I don't know
eight to
what
ten
that
euros.
is. I've heard that I don't even know if this is true, but if you maybe it's you have to soak it before in something. I've heard that maybe vinegar or like some or something like
To
that to
break it
kind
up.
of break it up a little bit. And maybe these are the kinds of extents that they go to in Spain with their food that isn't happening in America. Maybe it's not frozen as many times or for as long. Like I don't
Or
know,
not
but
frozen
it
at all.
is
I mean,
really
yeah.
or at all probably, and it's really good. And I will say since I've lived here and my husband can attest to this, I have got a little less squeamish about eating the octopus parts that look like octopus parts.
Okay. You mean like the
Before
actual
we,
tentacles? You mean the
yeah,
actual?
when we first moved here, I was like, which made my husband super happy. He's like, you get this half, I get the half that's just white
Right.
with no suction cups on it. And then he would always you can get these little ones, and they're like tiny little octopus, and the whole thing looks like like a baby octopus.
So
I don't know what
like
those
the
are
little
called.
calamaris, like the little ones. Yeah, yeah.
The baby ones. So there's no part to chop off. You're eating a
You're
whole
just
thing.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, and I was really far away from those at the beginning, and now we've been here 5 years. I'm like, yeah, give it to me. Like it's good. It tastes so good.
Right.
The taste
If it's not calamari,
overpowers
it's all
it.
in that same family, but it's I forget what the
Yeah,
other one's called, where it's got still got the head and the legs attached to it.
exactly. But it's tiny.
But it's
I mean, it's
tiny.
only like an inch or
And what we
two
call calamari in
tall.
America is actually the range of all those squiddy, octopusy, whatever those animals are called.
Yeah.
I'm not a zoologist or ceologist. I don't know what these
Oh
words
my god. We need to start a glossary on our website for
Right.
ourselves. Apparently.
Well, we should also have a glossary of words we say and what we think they should mean, whether
Oh,
they
and what
don't
they
exist,
actually mean.
or even if they don't exist. This is what we mean by this.
I think it'll be 3 pages of words that we've made
Yeah.
up, 2 pages of words that don't like that really we just used incorrectly, and then a couple of pages of actual
Of
words.
Spanish words that you
Anyway,
might
yeah.
need to
So
know.
you're right. There's a word for all those things. And sepia, I don't know exactly, but when you order sepia, it never comes with tentacles and stuff. So I think that is more of some other type that doesn't
I
have.
think that might have the bigger head that they make like the big calamari rings out of that are not calamari, I think. Right? So
Maybe,
because like you go to get
maybe.
like calamari rings here, they're like the size of onion rings at like one of those like at a beer hall back in the States, right? They're huge.
Right, right. And then I think you have all those types of things, but they do come out looking different. But they're basically all grilled the same way with and really good drizzle of olive oil and stuff. And it's refreshing. And I think that's the type of tapas that you come to Spain for, in the sense that if you're looking for a slightly more healthier. And then the calamaris I think they're called calamari romero or something here, where those are the ones that are the rings that are breaded, the more traditional. And those for sure I think have pretty much always come probably out of a packet.
Well,
and
unless
just
you go
been
to
deep
a
fried.
higher place, because you can tell that
Yeah.
those are freshly battered with delicious batter that's flaky
Right.
and those ones will melt in your mouth too. And you're like, how did
Those
you do
ones
this?
can.
You're like, how?
I've had a variety of those where some of them are better than others, and that might depend as well. Sepia, by the way, is cuttlefish, and I don't even know what cuttlefish looks
cuttlefish.
like
That's the one I'm thinking of. That has the small tentacles but the bigger head. Yeah.
So I think you're getting more. And then my other absolute favorite.
Did you just Google something while we were?
I did. I had to.
I see. Fact checking.
It makes me look smarter.
Not anymore because I called you out.
Because you didn't want me to look smarter than you.
Nope.
Thank you. You're so awful.
But I'm so glad you did. So everyone has to understand. Like,
I literally wouldn't have come up with that word without Google. I actually, funnily enough, this doesn't happen very often. What I actually did was I Google translated a word that I knew in Spanish that I didn't know in English. How's that?
That is, you are next leveling your life in Spain. Look at you.
Right. So I always I love mussels, and I love all of I love shellfish, but I love how they do the clams, almejas, because they're smaller. Mm-hmm. So you don't, sometimes with the mussels, you can get really big ones that I don't like. So you never really know what you're going to get. But with the clams, you always get small ones, and they just, again, they just kind of put like a nice sauce on those, and they're, oh my God, so good.
No, wait,
so
I forgot. Do you not like oysters? Were you the...
I cannot do oysters.
Okay, that's what I thought. We did talk about that because that's something I love.
I like my seafood cooked unless it's sushi, but I'm not gonna get into oysters.
Oh,
no.
Gosh, now I want to go to the Central Market, but it's closed today, so I want to go and get some.
I don't understand oysters. I truly and honestly believe that nobody likes them, but some people just pretend they do.
Okay, she brought this. Yes, I'm now remembering this
Gaetano.
Conversation. Everyone else, my kids,
we've had this conversation.
My kids
before.
like oysters, and I grew up.
I will stand by it.
And I grew up in a family that likes oysters. So
you're just all liars. That's all I can say. There's
we're
no way
not.
you like oysters.
There's...
Although, do you put I know we can't find the horseradish, but normally would you put like the Tabasco sauce and horseradish and all the flavors on the oysters, or just eat them raw, like with nothing?
They do that at the Central Market. They have the accoutrement there. They have like it's usually like.
And do you do that?
It's like so. There's different things. You'd put a hot sauce, or you'd put like a vinegar and some shallots on it. Or
okay.
I mean, I'll eat them plain. And
okay, so now you're getting flavor.
Yeah, but they have. I mean, I eat them plain too.
Really?
Yeah, just
and they're just slimy and salty.
Yeah, it's delicious and cold and fresh.
It's so disgusting.
So yummy.
I can't even. It's making my skin cold.
I love like those seafood towers that got all of that, the shrimps and the oysters and the things, love all that.
So at Central Market, at the actual market, there is a place there where you cannot. I know there's a huge fish section of it, but there is a place where they will actually let you eat them right there.
Yeah, they shell them, they shuck them right there, and they have the sauces.
Oh, that's awesome.
And they have some fresh octopus there, and so you can get like a little lunch for like $6-7 for yourself. And
of oysters? What is that? 2 oysters?
No, like the oysters can be like 2 to 3 a piece, but they're huge.
Okay.
Like they're like the oysters that they have here, like the size of footballs. I mean, they're huge, and you get a little.
I'm not even gonna go down the road that
and like a little, and then a little piece of octopus leg, and you're good to go.
Well, if you're lucky, he might go and actually not just eat, but take a video of it, and we'll post it.
Yeah, we can do. I can do that. So yeah.
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, I'm not into that, but I do love.
Should we make? Maybe we should take a video of forcing her to eat an oyster. We should.
I'm not gonna do it.
When's the last time you had one? When's the last time you had one?
So twice in my life, I've been like, this is silly. Everyone says they're amazing. I should try it, and I've had the opportunity, and I've done it twice, and both times I'm like, you're all crazy.
How long ago was this?
Doing it again.
Was the last time this happened?
Probably 10 years ago or something.
So I mean, you were relatively an adult.
I was an adult. Yeah, I was relatively an adult. I'm still only relatively an adult, so let's be honest. No, I feel like I'm kind of done. I've tried it various times and come to the same conclusion and feel like I don't want to. I'm now the adult that doesn't need to do things that I don't want to do. I'm now a spoiled adult in that regard. And we have so much good food here that there's really no need to be eating things. I love all the other food.
We have delicious food here, but I will say, if you are looking for the Mediterranean diet, if you're not cooking yourself, Spain is not the country for it, because everything is fried. It is not. I think what's the Mediterranean diet? It's supposed to be like grain heavy,
vegetables,
like fish, vegetables, olive oil, and grains. Less red meats, less whatever. And here it's all pork. It's fried. Everything's fried except for the pork, but that's cured, right? It's not. You're not eating.
I'm going to say you're right, But if you want to spend more money, you could do the Mediterranean diet here, because the more expensive the restaurant, the more variety you'll get in things, I
But you're
think, and
not
the
getting
more ability.
vegetables. Vegetables are not a thing, no matter
I
how
think I've
expensive.
seen people eating salads. You can still buy a salad and do that. I mean, you can do that here. It's just if you go to the typical restaurants and get typical tapas, that's not what's happening.
No, well, I mean, but that's the Spanish
Yeah.
cuisine. But like vegetables, they don't serve vegetables out. Even at the fancy restaurants, it's very hard to find anything except for like some fried eggplant or maybe some soaked eggplant. Like
Awesome. No, they do.
you're not
They
getting
do
it. You're not
asparagus. They do asparagus, which is probably also fried.
right, but you're not getting broccoli. You're not like you're not getting like. And salads are
Yeah.
not a thing here. Like if you see like the salads are covered in sauce. They're not like the big
Yeah.
abundant kind of salads that we're used to. There was a salad restaurant in the city and it closed. And I was like, oh, perfect.
Yeah.
But I mean, it didn't
No,
have
it's
the
good.
audience.
I mean,
right?
you can get artichoke is very popular in the tapas. It's going to be grilled
Right.
usually with olive oil. Really, really, really good. But you can get asparagus. But I will say you're absolutely right. Like I have been to restaurants where I've ordered fazina, maybe like a chicken and some French fries. That is literally what's on the plate,
Right.
chicken and French
Yeah.
fries. It does not going to come with some lettuce or some vegetables with it or anything
No.
like that. Like it's
And
just
what
not.
ticks me off, what
What ticks you off?
is that they're all so thin here on a completely diet like that we're told is unhealthy, right? Like, but they
Right.
must just maybe that's
Maybe it's the quantity of it, or they grew up on it, or something.
yeah, their genes or whatever, but like I'm like, why are you all so thin and gorgeous and you're eating patatas bravas slathered in mayonnaise? Like you like
Because they must not be.
and your
Like,
hamburgers
they must
have,
not be.
like we said before,
Yeah.
the hamburgers are covered in onion rings, barbecue sauce, mayonnaise,
Right,
everything.
right, yeah. I mean, it's but maybe it's the amount of food you eat, and then also the walking and the exercise and the other general stuff that you're doing.
Right.
Maybe that could be part of it, I suppose. The other thing is which I mean relatively healthy, I guess, is the tortilla,
Yeah.
the Spanish tortilla. I mean, that is basically
I wouldn't say the food is like unhealthy here, but it's not. How about this? It's not fiber friendly. There's not a lot of fiber in the
no,
diet.
it's not fiber friendly. But it is really good.
It is really good.
So you have the Spanish tortilla, which is basically like a quiche without the
It's like
edges,
a frittata.
right? Like,
Yeah, it's a
like
potato
a
and
frittata
egg
with just
frittata.
like potato and egg, and then you have the option to put like onion in it. Usually is kind of where it stops. But if you go like in the restaurant, I've seen it with spinach.
Oh, yeah. And
Yeah.
we like the one with spinach. The
Yeah.
Lidl sells one pre-made with spinach, so we get that one.
Yeah.
On. But there was a place I was told about, and I don't know the name of. I mean, I do know the name of it. It's in my phone in a note. But
Okay.
you and I, we're gonna go there because I've been wanting to go there. So when you're back in the city, we're gonna go there. It is like one of these hole-in-the-wall cerveza bar places, and they're known for having an array of tortillas.
Oh, interesting.
And it's like in a neighborhood, so it's real working class,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
inexpensive. I mean, I think people know about it. I think it's kind of like remember like the soup Nazi in New York. I think it's one of those kind of.
It's one of those
Yeah,
places.
kinda.
That sounds good because I've only been to the one. We have the place in town where my package, I think we talked about it, where my package randomly ended up with Amazon that I had to go pick up. That little cafe is famous for the tortillas because the tortilla sort of debate is not only onion or no onion, but it's also should it be soft in the middle or not soft in the middle.
Right.
I like soft
I
in the
like
middle.
soft in the middle too. Yeah.
Yeah, but some people cook it like fully, and then it's and then it's not. But again, just like the paellas, there is a basic that is everywhere, that is standard, and then you might find other varieties, but you will very often only find that.
Right.
And that tortilla is, if you find a good tortilla, it is really
Right.
good.
No.
And then of course you have like the gambas, which is again grilled with maybe garlic and an oil.
And they do like the
Again,
sardines, a
yeah.
plate of sardines or a
The
plate of
sardines.
anchovies.
Oh my god, Jawad loves his sardines. Now let me just say, I don't know, we haven't found a place here that like will at all have any competition to the sardines that he gets, because I don't eat them, that he gets in Morocco. Because you go down to the fish markets, which are right on the water there, and they're just like pulling them out of the sea and grilling them, and it's like that is like, I think Morocco is probably one of the most famous places for sardines, but they're really good here too as
Right.
well. And like you said, if you go to the market and you can get them.
Well, they say that also too, that well, not they say it is fact that the tapas also change in the region of Spain, right? In northern Spain they're called pinches. So like you'll say pinches here, but it's not really that they're just kind of like acknowledging it. Those are things more on the sticks, right? That's served on a stick. But I want to go to northern Spain to see, because it isn't the
Different cuisine.
It's a different cuisine, and so their tapas and stuff are I think they're more.
They might have vegetables
They
there.
have my vegetables. I mean, it's greener up there. Who knows?
That's true, right? Also, and this might be something that was only happening 30 years ago, but when I was in Barcelona 30 years ago, like they had, if you ordered a drink at a bar, it came with some little tapas-y things, So like every drink came with a little something. That doesn't happen here.
No, it does happen here. We're just not going to bars and drinking. Because it's not, there are tapas bars where that is happening. I think that is
free, like free with your drink.
Yeah, there are those places like in Old Town. I think in some other neighborhoods.
I don't think
seen
it's as
people
common.
talk about it,
but it might
but
be.
it's just we're not 22 and out drinking and
It's not happening.
It's not happening.
They do love their eggplant here, so I'm gonna throw that out there. I don't like it, and I don't eat it really, but that is something that they probably are grilling it and stuff.
Yeah.
So eggplant can be a popular.
And they do serve. I mean, the tomatoes
well.
are delicious here. I mean, they are grown here, and
they do a lot of tomato
stuff. So I mean, you can get it, but it's just not as abundant what we're used to, right?
No.
And I mean, I think the true Mediterranean diet is just like the south of France and like coastal Italy and Greece.
Yeah,
I think that's it because in France it's all you're not getting the Mediterranean diet 20 miles north of the coast. It's all covered in cream and butter.
Right. And speaking of sort of healthier things, I mean, I know that I think there's a soup that you make, but gazpacho is also quite popular. You can buy that in the store.
You buy it with the milk. It's in my milk container.
You can buy it with the milk. Yeah, exactly. And then I think you have a Spanish soup that you make.
Oh,
and I don't know what that is.
The garlic soup. So the one.
Yes, the garlic soup.
Some of it's like Spanish food that is so amazing. And I don't know if we've talked about this before. It's just you and I have talked about it. Like a lot of food from like the national foods and the comfort foods we think of different countries, it's the poor people food, it's peasant food, right? And I mean, Italy, it's pasta, right? That's peasant food. I mean, what's the cheapest to feed the most, right? And in Spain, like some of the traditional dishes are coming from that that culture, that lifestyle, whatever. And so there's this soup called it's a garlic soup, and it's made with a stale baguette, like a whole stale baguette, olive oil, tons of garlic, tons of smoked paprika, and some stock, chicken, vegetable stock, whatever you want to use. And you make sure your bread's stale, and then I toast it even more because I like it to have that more of a taste. And you saute up some garlic, and it has to be sliced garlic, not minced, like it's sliced. And you saute that up with some olive oil and the bread and the smoked paprika, tons of smoked paprika, and you cover everything. Then you put the stock in it and you simmer that, and then at the end you take some eggs and you drop them in the soup and swirl the soup so it's almost like an egg drop type thing. And then you get this soup that's very thick, but smooth.
Are you whizzing up the bread? Like, how's the bread going? Like, how's the baguette kind of
it's all cut up in cubes, and it just kind of
and you leave it like that.
You leave it like that. It disintegrates in the soup.
Oh, okay. So you don't ever have to
you're not pureeing it or anything.
No,
you're just stirring it. And it comes out tasting like beef stew. Like it tastes like you're eating meat and like all this other stuff. But that's coming from.
So it's not overly garlic. I would love it.
No, but it's very garlicky. But the smoked paprika makes it taste like you're eating roasted meat, and the eggs add like kind of the bread and the eggs add the bulk. So it's this very heavy, thick thing that is just delicious. I made it the first time last year for Easter. We had guests. I'm like, I'm gonna do some Spanish foods and try my hand at this stuff, and we got it. And my friends that were visiting. We're like, it was the first time I made it, and we were all like, our mouths were agape at like how delicious and amazing it was, and how simple and easy. I mean, I think the thing cost $3 to make to serve 12 people.
Well,
right? Like
thanks for making it for me.
You're welcome.
Is it something that you had tried out in a restaurant before?
No. I was Googling because the friends that came last year, they came for Easter, and they have spent every single Easter with my girls since I've had them. So they're like, your first Easter, we're coming. And so I was like, well, we're gonna do a big Easter brunch for just us, and I was like, I'm gonna make some Spanish. So I Googled like, what are traditional Spanish dishes? So I made that, and then I also made patatas panaderas. Have you ever had those? So that's another delicious little thing. So patatas panaderas could be best described as like scalloped potatoes, but instead of
Okay.
cream and cheese, it's just olive oil and white wine. So it's you mandolin
Interesting.
the potato sliced really
Okay.
thin with a white onion, and you mix that together, throw it in the pan. I mean, I do it in layers and then put olive oil in between, and garlic, put a ton of sliced garlic in that as well. And then you
The garlic's got to go on
yeah, I mean,
everything,
I put garlic
basically.
in cereal, and I'm
I put
Italian.
garlic in my Spanish tortillas too,
Right.
because I know it's illegal, but
You got to
it
do
tastes
it.
good.
I mean, I'm Italian, so a clove of garlic in Italy is a head of garlic, right? Like that's
Yeah, never enough.
never enough. So you mix that all together and with the olive oil and you bake it, and then like maybe about 15-30 minutes before you pour in the white wine and bake it some more, and it's like butter.
So good.
It's like
That
butter.
sounds amazing.
It's
It's like butter.
it's like butter. It's heavenly. So
So you have to go out and find a garlic soup in a restaurant and see if it compares, because
yeah.
I don't even know if I've seen that on the menu. But I don't usually look for the soups. I'm not really a big soup person. I'll
And when
make my
Spain's
own,
not a
but I
big
don't
soup. Like
get
there's
them
like
in
three
restaurants.
soups you can get in Spain. Like if you go to the
Yeah.
grocery store and you're like, I'd like a split pea, you ain't getting it, right?
No.
They've got these like bean soups which are great, and sometimes they have but you're not gonna find like canned chicken soup. I haven't seen it. You'll see powdered. I've seen chicken noodle powdered soup packages.
Yeah. Oh, really?
But I'm like,
Yeah.
you're not gonna see your Progresso soups here. You're not getting the clam chowder. You're not getting any of
But
it.
it's so easy to make soups. I
Right,
mean,
yeah,
I
yeah.
just do my like go to is just to roast the vegetables and the sweet potato and everything, and then just puree that with some coconut
Right,
milk
yeah,
and
I
some
do that too.
stock, and you're like good to go. So it's like easy to make. But yeah, I think like you said, they have some basic. They have some very Spanish soups, and that's pretty much where it ends.
That's when you go.
I
Yes,
think.
like I've seen
Yeah.
like the garlic. I haven't had it, but I've seen it on the menus on the menu del dias. Like they'll have a garlic soup, or they'll have the
Yeah.
bean soup as one of the three courses.
Right.
Um,
But to that point, pre-made foods, I mean, in England, pre-made foods, I don't know why anyone cooks here. The pre-made
Right.
foods are amazing. They're everywhere. You can have anything you want tonight in 25 minutes.
Right.
Like, so, I mean, so good. I mean, amazing. And, you know, in America, I would say they do have pre-made foods, but they tend to be very heavy on salt and flavorings and all these
And
sorts
the
of things, really very
preservatives. And
healthy
the
and
pres- I mean-
preservatives and all that stuff. But in Spain, it just doesn't really exist. You might find a lasagna, you might find a couple of things, a gazpacho that's
Mm-hmm.
already made, that type of thing. The Spanish tortillas are already made. You might, but then that's kind of the extent
they
of
have
it.
emergency frozen foods like French fries and chicken nuggets and
Yeah,
maybe some
exactly.
like spring rolls, and they'll have some of that
Yeah.
stuff. But it's not in the
You
abundance
can't
here.
live off of pre-made foods
No.
in Spain, or I mean,
And then when I
and
like
that's
you when I
fine.
make a soup,
Plenty of
I make
access.
so much that I just put two Tupperware extra containers in the freezer,
Right.
and then I have it for another time to make it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But what I would say also too about the prepared foods here, or just foods in general from the store, which is I'm still getting used to, is because of the lack of preservatives. Things spoil so much quicker, and I'm still in the American mindset of like, oh, we'll buy this. I'm not going to eat it this week, but in a month from now, we'll want it, and I'm here, and before I forget, I'll just get it. And then you open up
Right.
the container, and it's like covered in mold. And you're like, but like, I'll say hummus. I think of hummus will last 6 months in the refrigerator in the States, and here it
No.
lasts in a couple weeks. Like sour cream, like you're like, oh, sour cream, mayonnaise lasts forever. Not here. That stuff will go moldy or liquidy real quick because it doesn't have the same preservatives. So I'm learning to adjust to be like, if we're not going to eat it in a week, then we're not buying it. And it's a hard transition
If it
after
can't- if it
50
can't be-
years of living the other
Yeah.
way. You know.
If it can't be frozen, yeah, even that. But I mean, and that I think that is such a joy. I love that because things don't need to last that long. And like you said, don't buy it if you're not going to eat it soon. And then we've all done that. We all have stuff that ends up in the trash that we should have eaten.
Right.
But it's like you are definitely much more conscious of that here, which I think is I think that's fine because that's probably part of the reason people move is for a better food source and better food. But you do have to watch it, especially when the packet won't close.
Exactly.
That doesn't help.
For sure. So what else do you like in the foods? I mean, I do love the bocadillos. I mean, I do love that. I love the. I mean, who thought of putting fried calamari on a piece on some bread on a roll?
Yeah, I
I mean,
mean, let's
that's
put it,
brilliant.
all the tapas we've just talked about, they'll go into a bocadillo
Yeah.
and make a really, really good one. I do love actually, which is also I think what you were sort of alluding to earlier, is the quantity of food that you get. Like, I do love the idea if I go out for coffee with a friend for breakfast, that you just get this little tostada.
Right.
And and that is just like, you get your tiny coffee with your little tostada, which is a maybe a half a like a
It's a long
you know
slice of bread.
it's a long slice of baguette that's been cut sideways, and then that's toasted, and you can have whatever you want on it. If you listen to that other
Well, so
episode, which is either olive oil and cheese, sliced cheese, hamon, or the tomato.
So where you go is like what you're saying is, because in the city I have yet to see a tostada on a baguette. I see it on like a wide sliced sourdough type toast. I have not seen tostada.
That wouldn't be traditional. That would be like fancy then. It is usually traditionally like some kind of baguette that's been cut sideways, and then they toast those so they're nice and crispy, and then usually you're not putting butter or cream cheese or anything. You're literally just putting olive oil with whatever you want on top, and then sometimes it comes with salt. But I love, because I don't eat tomatoes, I love the like hamon and cheese, and they have amazing hamon here. I think we could do a whole episode on hamon, but I mean, it's like you have all these different types, and
what they're
some
fed
of them are more,
and what region they're coming
oh my God.
from,
and they're so good. But even the basic ones are good.
Oh yeah, no.
So that with a little olive oil and a few slices of the Spanish cheeses.
I haven't seen a tostada
so
that's on the back. Literally, I've had it many times at many places, and it's always more of a sliced bread.
Well, you're just gonna have to come out into the boonies.
Oh yeah, take me
I'm gonna have to come out into the city,
and I'll be like, see here, because there's a place here that serves it. That we have a restaurant around the corner that has kind of like hybrid like American English breakfast with the Spanish, and they have a tostada that's got like goat cheese and sautéed spinach.
Okay, see, this is not happening outside. This people is the difference. Everything that you talk about, like, you go to any of the restaurants outside of the city, anywhere, they're all doing everything exactly the same way. There's nothing creative going on there.
These highfalutin city people with their fancy cosmopolitan ways. Always.
But this goes for everything. The second you get out of the city, like there's no English,
right.
And then they're all doing the same tostada. Like, it's so funny. Like, and that's not to say I can't get a tostada with some goat's cheese and some things on it, and maybe a fancier place. But if we're talking
you're
cafes,
run of the mill
Spanish
cafes,
right? It's going to be the same tostada here as there.
With your Euro espresso, right? Like that place,
and my non-cappuccino, right. Yes. That's basically how that goes.
I don't order coffee out much because it's never really the way I want it. And I've seen other podcasts and YouTube people talk about the difference of the coffee. And it is because the coffee beans are prepared completely different.
Oh, I don't even care about the coffee beans. I just want froth on my cappuccino.
Yeah.
I don't even care because I'm not really a big coffee person. Like, I understand that there are people that are very, very into the coffee, but that reminds me, now that I'm in England, I should go get myself a cappuccino.
There you go. and more easy open packaging.
I've done that. I've opened all the packets in the fridge, much to my mother's delight, so we're good there. I now have to go buy her more, I guess. Speaking of things going off in the fridge.
True.
Yeah. Yeah, but it is basically, I think that's a difference. I mean, it's not that you can't, I can go into the city and have breakfast with you. Right. There's nothing stopping me from having all these variety of things, but things are just a lot more kind of normal and traditional, I think, once you get out of the city. And that's also fine, because that's what everyone likes to eat.
Right. This summer, so we'll be revisiting food a million times, I'm sure, but this summer, my daughters and I have decided that we are going to travel Spain a little bit this summer and go to Sevilla and Granada. So I'm excited to be in Andalusia and
and see how things are different.
Seeing things are different. What are the tapas they're serving? What's the food they're serving? I'm excited to
And they celebrate things differently too. I mean, like you said, like you've already mentioned, we did a massive Easter fail overall. Like, we're in England, it's Easter everywhere, but it's also St. George's Day. Like, so that's what the celebrations we had. Like,
what's St. George's Day? Okay, not a Spain topic, but
not a Spain topic. No, St. George is the patron saint of England. So they have we've got dragons and people dressed up as knights with the St. George flag, and then the Easter bunny. That's what was going on this weekend. Okay. I think Easter fail was happening everywhere. Right. So, Yeah, and I think that it is still a lot of festivities and a lot of things that are happening around Spain very differently, which
Right.
I think is very, very interesting, you
I
know.
mean, I wanted to see the Easter stuff this year, but my kids were like, I don't want to go. And like, it was in they celebrate Easter in Valencia in the Cabanyol neighborhood. That's where all the procession, that's
Mm-hmm.
where everything is. And, it's very far for my kids. It's very far to get to the beach. I mean, I think it's
It
10
is.
stops on the bus. I mean, it's murderous.
It's a
Yeah,
lot.
it's a
I
lot.
mean,
How can I
come
force
on.
them to do that? And to be honest, I'd rather go with a friend who would be excited to be there than some kids being like, when do we go home? When do we go
How long is it
home?
gonna
Yeah,
be?
how long do we have to be here? Do we have to do this again next year?
Yeah,
So
exactly. So I wasn't there because I'm in England, so I'm sorry. Otherwise, we would have done it together.
so
But
my
yeah,
Easter
next
fails.
year.
I'll tell you what happened. By kind of Spain it too is I was like, okay, it's Easter, and our friends aren't coming, so we were all kind of not feeling Easter this year to begin with, but. Easter isn't celebrated like in America, meaning it's not Easter bunnies and Easter baskets and egg rolls. Like that's just not a thing here. But it kind of creeps in some places. You can see that. So the grocery stores will have this tiny little etagere type thing with some traditional Easter candies for I think for the foreigners, right? So
Oh well, they love no. That's not necessarily. They love their Easter pastries. So they have those the bread
with
things
the
that come
egg
around
stuck
with
in
the
it.
egg
Yeah.
inside. Which we got hoodwinked into that the first year, and then the chocolate. So they had a regular egg that's colored in it, but they've upgraded that to put like Kinder eggs and things in sometimes, so
Mm-hmm.
that the kids get like a chocolate egg. So Xena like ate the chocolate egg, and then when it came to the pastry part, it was like,
Yeah. Well,
no, not so much, because Spanish pastries, I'm sorry,
they're
we
a
love
big
a lot of
fail.
things about
Yeah.
Spain, but they're not good at the pastries,
No.
and their stuff is kind of just not
It's bland.
pastry
It's
like,
very
really.
bland, and like I mean, they do
Yeah.
a great croissant. I love their croissants. They
Mm-hmm.
do a great chocolate croissant. The ham
Yes.
and
Oh my
cheese
God, so
croissants,
good.
those are good.
And they do some tarts that are
Mhm.
good. Like they do like there's a pastry shop that does like really good like sort of lime tarts and
Mhm.
lemon tarts and things if you like that kind of thing. But when you're talking about like
Like a chocolate
um
cakey thing.
yeah, no.
There's been a lot of times where like, how did you do that? And we've had some good ones. Don't get me wrong, but it's just their taste profiles are different.
Are
What
different,
they
and they
expect.
don't do like sponge cakes with icing in the middle. It just
No.
isn't, and if they do, it's gonna be weird
Well,
because
it's
it's
like
not what
the
they do.
frozen grocery store. And we'll get those, but yeah, it's still not what you're expecting. And but what I was gonna say about with the Easter, so it's not a huge commercialized deal here. It's there isn't Easter Sunday brunches. You're not getting gowns on, like putting
Right.
your little girl in a gown to go to brunch. Right, that kind of thing isn't here. So I was like, okay, they have the little etagere at the grocery store, and I was like, okay. So it came Tuesday, and I was like, oh. I better buy a bag of chocolate eggs to hide around the house for my kids because we've been doing that every year. Because you're definitely not getting the plastic eggs that you can fill with stuff. That's not that I haven't seen here.
No, I don't think
Maybe
so.
a teddy,
Yeah.
but I haven't gone to the teddy
Yeah.
lately to see if they had it. But anyway, so that's gonna happen. So like last year, I got little chocolate eggs and put them around the house. So anyway, I went to the grocery store on Tuesday, and all the Easter stuff, and even the Easter pastry with the egg in it, all of it was already put away.
Oh no.
And I
Gone.
was like, no, but what the? And so I'm like looking at other stores. No one's got anything except the bakery still have some of the
Because they
cake.
don't do a lot of stuff. Like they might, if you had gone out yesterday in the bake shops, like they might have had stuff specifically for that day, but it might have been gone by 10,
Right,
right?
right.
Because they're not going to make, like you said, they're not going to make a ton of it. They don't want it left over till tomorrow. So it's just not like you said. Yeah, exactly. Like you said, they might have it on Sunday, but you need to, because those pastry shops open at like, I
If
don't know
they're
what
open on
time.
Sunday, because don't forget Sundays the
Yeah.
day things aren't opened here.
Yeah.
But and it's Easter weekend, so things were open Friday. They're not open Sunday. They're not open Monday, right? So we realize
Yeah.
that you're listening to this episode a couple weeks after Easter, but we're in Easter right
Right.
now.
Yeah. Well, meanwhile in England, it's massive chocolate eggs everywhere, and it's like I'm just dragging Xena out of the
Can you
store. Like,
bring
no,
some
you can have.
home, please?
Oh my god! I'm like, you can have one. Pick one, and her eyes are just like, how do I pick one?
Can you bring home a
And
bag of Easter eggs and a couple bags of English muffins for your poor, helpless Valencian city dwellers that can't have access to these things?
probably not.
Oh, but so how I saved Easter, I thought too, was the bakery around the corner. They still did have the. I didn't get the cake with the egg in it, right, or the bread thing, but they did have some cookies, like Easter cookies,
Mm-hmm.
like a little ducky and an egg, and then like a pink egg. So I got them, and they were
Right.
cookies filled with, it was like fondant on the on the top and filled with like a Nutella,
Mm-hmm.
and then so I put those out on the table for the kids to wake up, and like their face, they're like, great.
Yeah, like, no, this isn't
And
doing
then
it
they
for
bit
me.
them. They're like, okay, it's not really sweet enough. It's not really what we were
Right? No,
expecting.
I think it's one of those things where you're just like, you can't really sort of keep them happy anymore with
Right.
that type of thing, and you definitely can't keep your kids happy here with Spanish pastries
No.
unless you're doing chocolate croissants, which is like pretty much our favorite,
But and
I
they do
think.
bread here. That's the thing. Is some of the, I mean, we go to these bakeries and their loaves of breads are just amazing. I mean, we have a couple bakeries that they do olive loaves and these like ciabatta pizza y type things, which I
Mm-hmm.
love. So not to bag on it, and we have had. I mean, like Boss cheesecake is like sublime. So if you can get a shop that has the real Spanish cheesecake, that's amazing. So it's not like you're not going to get your sweet tooth fed. It's just,
Right. No, oh, for sure. That's not going to be a problem. It's just you have to be careful because some things, in my experience, look better than they
yes,
taste.
you're like, oh,
That's
that's
my
gonna
only
be so
warning.
good. And you're like,
Yeah.
this is very
Because,
bland.
boy, can they make things look
Yeah,
pretty.
yeah.
I mean, way prettier than what you'll find in England or America, in
Hmm.
my experience. Like, so, so pretty. The only place that can really compete with the prettiness of things from places that I've been is Morocco. Their pastries are, like, works of art as well, and they will do beautiful stuff here in
Hmm.
Spain. And in the pastry shops, you're like, oh my god, it's amazing.
Yeah, I hear you. I know France does great pastries too. I mean, when we were there, I was like shoveling all the little cakes and those like little chocolatey layered flaky things and all that stuff. And there are and yes, there are.
You can't beat
You
France.
know, yeah,
Let's
yeah,
just
yeah,
say.
yeah. I mean, they put
We literally just want to drive up over the border into France just to get a chocolate
yeah.
croissant or pan chocolat or something.
I mean, they put butter on butter in France. How you can't go wrong, right?
No, you really can't. Oh my gosh. Yeah, we'll have to take a trip to France just for that, I think.
Yeah, I mean, when we went last summer, we're due for. I'm like, we have to go back again. So I'm like, let's keep an eye on airfares and see when it's going to be like dirt cheap again. To like, like
Yeah.
when we can find a free, like a practically free Ryanair deal and get up
Right,
there.
and a cheap hotel
Yeah.
as well. Because that's the other thing. Yeah, I think so. We'll definitely get. I think we'll also be exploring some different parts of Spain this summer as well. So that'll give us some insight into different areas
Hmm.
because things are different and each area has its specialty, like in every country.
Right.
But I feel like in England, it's not quite the variety isn't quite so much. But it seems very very big in Spain.
Right.
You go to another region, it's a whole different type of food. You
And how
know,
they celebrate their festivals are completely different.
how
I
they
mean, I think we
celebrate the
talked about that. Like
festivals.
Fallas is Valencia, but like I mean, they do Easter here. But from what I've heard, Sevilla is where you want to go for the grand Easter tradition, right? That's from what I've heard. So it would be interesting to be down there this summer and
Absolutely.
just see
Yeah,
how
yeah.
their summer looks different.
Yes.
I
It's
I've
probably.
heard our faces are going to fry off because it's going to be so hot, but um, our faces melt off in Valencia because it's so hot. I think it's a dry heat, so
I think the difference is whether or not you have a pool or
yeah.
a sea to jump into, right? And I think the problem with some of the cities inside of Spain is that they get as hot, but you have nothing to cool you
Well,
off.
we were smart. We reserved hotels with pools. So
Oh, well, then you're
our
good.
plan is sightseeing in the early morning,
Yeah.
pool in the afternoon, and then go for a refreshing
Okay,
dinner.
nothing, as far as I know, is hotter than Vegas. And people survive
And
that.
I grew up in Vegas, so
Well, so
exactly.
you're fine.
That's what I keep telling them. I'm like, I
You're
grew up in
fine.
Vegas. It'll be refreshing to me because I miss that hot, dry heat where like you just get out of the pool and you're
God.
dry. Like I love that. I love
Yeah, but I got out of the car one time and when we drove to Vegas, and I almost couldn't breathe because the air was so hot. I was like, "Where's the oxygen?" I have not experienced that kind of heat in Spain yet, but maybe it's in Sevilla in the summer,
Yeah.
possibly. I don't know.
We'll find
But
out.
I've not experienced that experience. That was like, oh my god, I think I'm gonna die. I need to get back in the car with the air conditioning. Like it was weird.
Right, right.
But yeah, I mean, every place has its pros and cons, and I think sometimes if you can handle the heat or it's going to be hot, then go there and enjoy it when there aren't as many people.
Well, I mean, that was the thing is we
Benefit,
looked at
right?
it. The hotels were like nothing compared to what they'd be in the
Yeah.
winter there, and compared to like the
Yeah.
beach, because like just an hour south at the beach, hotels are like $400 a night, and we were getting places for
Yeah.
like $100 a night for a family of 3. That's really cheap.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I would say like that's like everything. We've talked about this before about just moving to Spain. I mean, and traveling anywhere. So long as you're prepared and you've done some research and you know what's coming, then it's fine.
Right,
And
exactly.
you're prepared for it. But if you go there thinking that somewhere's going to be just delightfully cool in the middle of summer and you get there and it's 5,000 degrees, yeah, it's going to be a shock, to say the least.
For sure. Well,
So-
it's a couple months away. It's gonna creep up on us sooner than you know.
Yeah.
I'll be excited to find out what the food is like there. What
my gosh,
what
yeah.
we've tasted. Maybe they'll have more vegetables on a plate or.
I'm going to be asking you lots of questions, so be prepared.
Yeah, and tell me where you're going this summer. Tell us all. Well, we keep these conversations open.
Absolutely. Yeah, we don't have any plans yet, so we will. I mean, like you, we're just kind of like, oh, what do we want to do now? It's kind of not. We don't plan quite as much as you do, so we'll see.
Well, this
Yeah.
I will say, this has to do with the Italy thing. So we canceled our Italian vacation.
Right.
So we had this week, and my friend who's joining us. I've already booked that week out, so I'm coming to Spain, and let's do something there. So probably more planned than we would have been about a trip around Spain. But you know what I mean. But we do plan things, Ed, because I have to when there's 2 kids and all the things and me.
Well, that's true. That does take a little bit of planning, but it'll be fun anyway.
Yeah, it will be. I'm
Yeah.
excited.
And if anyone's coming to Spain, I hope our podcast is helping you prepare.
Yeah, I
a
hope
little.
so.
Maybe.
I think it is. I think so.
Or people are like, we're not going there anymore. You can't even open a packet. That's it.
Just they sell scissors here. They sell knives, so you can open
Yeah,
them.
exactly.
It's
It's all good.
and
It's all good.
and here's the thing: if they did open easily, we wouldn't have this to talk about.
I know.
So
Right?
it's all fodder.
So much fun.
So yeah,
So I think that pretty much covers everything
for now,
that we didn't know we were going to
gonna
talk about.
food too. Yeah, I mean, but we only talked about like 3 or 4 tapas. So we'll come back another time and talk about some more tapas and some other Spanish foods.
I mean,
we
it's
like.
endless.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm sorry, we went on a few tangents, but that's what we do.
That's what we
So,
do. We hope you
yeah.
enjoyed it, and we're just cleaning your house, listening to us, and wandered, meandered through our thoughts as well.
There you go.
All right, everyone, and bye,
All
Tanya.
right. Bye.
Hey, can't get enough of us? Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Spain Podcast.
And on our website, ourspain.com, which we will be updating with exciting new things as we grow.
We would love for you to message us with any topics you would like to hear about.
See you next time.
Bye!